Hi folks, welcome to another episode of the Filmreelcast. This week we're going to be looking at WandaVision. It's episode 8, just one more to go. And we start off this episode going back to 1693, where it's Agatha. And we all know her now as Agatha Harkness rather than Agnes as she's portrayed throughout this series so far. And she's being tried for abusing her powers. And it goes back to the Salem 7 from the Marvel magazines. And she's going to have her powers taken away from her from all of the witches surrounding because they say she's been abusing her powers. And she's cuffed to this post in the middle and surrounded. And they kind of project these blue rays that try and absorb all of Agatha's powers. But it doesn't work and they're taken away from them and they're kind of sucked dry, all of these witches. And even when Agatha's own mother tries to take her powers, you see this blue ray, but then you see shining out the purple ray from Agatha, kills her own mother. When she kills her, she takes that brooch that she's been wearing, which we've seen throughout the various episodes, and one that's been mentioned that she wears in the comics as well. I have to say, Catherine Hahn, who plays Agatha Harkness, puts in such a good, believable performance whilst being Agnes tied to this stake, trying to have her powers taken away. So going to present day, they're in the basement, remember, of Agatha's house. And she wants to know just how Wanda created the hex. It's clearly something that she can't do and she's surprised about the powers that Wanda's got. So they kind of go back in time, kind of Dickens' Christmas Carol style from various stages to find out at what moment did she get the powers, the ability, and that the hex was created. So the first door Agatha opens is going back to Sokovia, when you get to see her mum and dad, being Wanda's mum and dad. And you can see from the picture that the dad was out selling Bewitched, I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke Show, and Malcolm in the Middle. And it's no surprise that all of these were featured in the set as it kind of progressed each episode of the hex that Wanda created. And it's when a bomb hits that everything turns sour. That we know from Civil War, from the Age of Ultron, when it's been mentioned, that Wanda said that she was stuck for days. And that she was stuck looking at a bomb. And this is pictured in Age of Ultron with her and Pietro staring at Tony Stark's bomb, waiting for it to explode for both of them to die. And the question she asked, going back to this, was why didn't the bomb explode? Was it a probability spell? Did she already have powers and that's why it didn't explode? And it's likely that that is the latter, that it was a probability spell of knowing what would happen as she delayed the explosion of the bomb. So that's an early hint that back in those days, even when she was a child, that Wanda still had her magical powers. We then next go to the Hydra lab, remember where she was kind of experimented on by Von Strucker. And you can see Loki's sector there. And she's tested and you're told that previous people who've tried this have died. So it's a proper experiment. We don't see Pietro at this point, but we know from when they do the Civil War that she's there and she was being experimented on along with her brother. And she connects to the scepter, and we know in the scepter that it's the Mind Stone, and it glows up and you see the Mind Stone and you see this mysterious figure appearing before it all shuts down and she faints. So again you can see the connection with the Mind Stone, and again you can see the kind of story as her powers increase, and maybe that's why she's had such a strong connection with Vision. Who is the figure who's appearing in there? It could be Wanda, it could be Agatha, it could be anyone, I honestly don't know. It could even be Wanda looking at a vision of herself as the Scarlet Witch, you never know. So next we go to the Avengers headquarters, and I believe this is going to be Civil War. If you remember from Civil War that Vision used to walk through walls, he didn't like using doors. And he sits down, again you see Wanda watching an old show. And again it's kind of set in exactly the same ways as she did when she created the Hex. And Vision starts talking about how he doesn't understand loss, how he really wants to understand it, that he hasn't loved anyone to understand what it feels like to lose a loved one. And the conversation that they both have is the first sign that Wanda and Vision are connecting and that she's starting to fall in love with him. It's a really nice sign. So the next scene, and it's a really powerful scene, is that you see Wanda go into the Sword headquarters to collect the body of Vision. And it's a far different picture to what's been created by Director Hayward. You see Wanda go there, and you see she wants to go and see Vision, and she meets the director, and she says, I want to collect him. I'm his next of kin. She's talking about him as in human form. So when the director takes Wanda to go and see Vision, to her horror, she's discovered that he is cut up in bits, and he lets her watch people continue to take his hand off, to try and cut his head open. To her, this must be absolutely shocking, like watching a proper human autopsy. All she wants to do is take him away and bury him. And when she says to Hayward, what are you doing? He says, all we're doing is dismantling the most sophisticated sentient weapon ever made. He doesn't see him, understandably, as a human being. He's just a machine, something that he can use to create a weapon of his own. So as seen in the CCTV, Wanda does break the glass and she does go down there and she looks at the body, but the massive difference being that she leaves on her own and she doesn't take Vision away. And that's the lie, the huge lie, the propaganda that Hayward sold everyone to try and portray Wanda as the baddie in this. So after that, Wanda leaves, understandably upset, and she goes to Westview. The reason why she goes there is that she sees a property deed, what we believe is by Vision, of somewhere that's highlighted, as you can see on the map, really sweet, really heartbreaking to grow old in. And it's knowing that she's dead, knowing that this will never happen, is what causes the hex. And you can see it from her that the town of Westview and the characters inside is born straight from her soul. As she's driving around Westview, you can see some of the characters that have been in it previously, that are kind of main characters. And it goes full circle where you see Vision come back, where it's all in black and white, where it's gone back to the 50s on the original sets of like I Love Lucy and things like that. So it goes full circle and you see it clicks back to colour and she's clapping saying bravo. She still hasn't got what she wants. She still doesn't know what created. She's seen her create it and it's the loss, but how she created all of this hex is still unknown. So it ends with Agatha holding Billy and Tommy hostage. And she states that all of the power that Wanda's got, she's been wasting it creating this hex. And she says she's been using chaos magic, and then she calls her the Scarlet Witch. And it's strange because we always know her as the Scarlet Witch and Wanda, but in all of the MCU films, she's never been referred to as the Scarlet Witch, only Wanda Maximoff. And she refers to the chaos magic as being like the red magic that Scarlet has, which is possibly why, when she was talking about the stalk and her stalk disappeared, that it had a red puff of smoke. When Wanda uses her powers, that it's a red ball. And that's the chaos magic she's referring to, and it also links in with Doctor Strange. So again, you've got this massive hint that the link between Wanda, or the Scarlet Witch, and what's happening in the Doctor Strange multiverse film. And there's also a theory that the book that Agatha's got in her basement is the missing book from the Doctor Strange film. Also, if you remember, there's one book missing from the bookshelf. So whilst Wanda is left fighting for her children, we get an amazing post-credit scene with Hayward using the power source from the hex to power Vision. And this is a grey Vision, exactly from the comics. It's the same Vision, but without the characteristics that made Wanda fall in love with him. And it's a brilliant visual, with Vision there, all in grey. His eyes are lit up. He looks really sinister. He's going to be used as a weapon against Wanda. And I think the only way that she'll be saved is by Vision sacrificing himself to kill this Vision to save Wanda. But it'll be interesting to see whether that does play out as the series goes on to its finale. So on the whole, another really good episode. We see the true CCTV footage of when Wanda went to the Sword headquarters and she just left, and that Hayward is manipulating the truth for his own good. And the fact that, does that mean that Tommy and Billy won't be alive outside the hex? Once the hex is taken down, she'll lose her children as well. And how is this going to play in to the multiverse when we get to the Doctor Strange film? Also, what's Monica and where's Pietro? What happened to them this episode? And also Vision as well. We didn't see him. Is he going to come in and try and save Wanda from Agatha? And also the question, is Agatha the real villain or is she anti-hero? We really don't know of what direction she's going to go in yet. She wants to learn the powers and how this was created. But does that make her the villain? Okay, that's just a really quick review of episode 8. One more to go, but can't wait to see how this ends. Remember to check out the audio podcast that we do. Click on the thumbs up and click on subscribe as well. All your comments and all the interaction I have with you guys, I really do appreciate, and thank you for watching all of these. Okay, I'm Stuart from the Filmreelcast, and I will see you very soon.